Hello, it's ANITA on 106.5 FM. I have Randolph in the studio from Greenlight Community Food Workshops, and he's going to introduce himself and talk a bit about his organisation. So Randolph, tell us a bit about you and what you do.
Right, my name's Randolph Augustine. I live in Bedford, work in Bedford and the surrounding areas. And my company is called, as Anita said, Greenlight Community Food Workshops. What we do, we look at vulnerable people, for instance, the elderly, young mums, people in isolation. And then what we try and do, we put together workshops for those groups. So we look at sort of like food waste. We look at, making sauces by scratch. We also do something like a ready, steady cook session where, there's £4 worth of ingredients and the group has to take those ingredients and make a meal out of it. I've been doing this since, I would say, I've started off in 2013. And I started off from funding from a couple of charities, which is Amicus Trust, which is based in Bedford, and Aisha Academy. And that was for 16 to 25-year-olds. And I also work for Amicus Trust as a health and safety consultant. And that's what inspired me to do this, because I saw what some of the service users didn't eat. And for instance, they live in an area which is not so good when it comes to drug and alcohol addiction. So, that inspired me to do this. And it's been in my head for a long time, and it's now come to fruition. And we've just finished a group that's linked from Project 229 in Kempston, and we were given money by Kempston East Methodist Church, which is obviously based in Kempston, to do this. Great reaction, great work for my team. As I said, I'm Greenlight Community Food Workshops. We teach people how to cook on a budget. We teach people how to cook nutritional meals, and we deal with people in isolation, the elderly, young mums-to-be. I
mean, I went to your last workshop, didn't I?
Yes,
the
you
229. I saw it at the Methodist Church.
Kempston East Methodist Church.
So I went there. It was really good. What I also enjoyed was the community kind of getting together, the teamwork.
Yes,
That's something that I, enjoyed watching. The particular women were working together as a team. They had to think as a team. They were, they had to be resourceful. They're a bit competitive.
Yes, yeah.
And they all had smiles on their faces, which I thought was really nice.
Well, yeah, that's what, brings a joy when we see that. You could talk about evaluation and writing down all sorts of, tick sheets and so forth. But to us, it's about sort of like seeing the people grow through the workshops. We had people come in there like mice and they're left as lions, because, the actual confidence and the social aspects of, some people meet in a group, but some groups have cliques. But with this group, everything came out. Everybody was, as you say, competitive. There was jokes going on. People were sitting down. They were talking together. Some people said they found out about other people in those few sessions and they knew about that person in 6 months. So it shows how much people open up. Food is a leveler at the end of the day, I think. I
mean, food, not only does it bring people together, it also bonds people, doesn't it? And that's what I really noticed when I was watching your workshops, that they started off, as you say, quite quiet, keeping to themselves, even though the group were established before you started the workshop, so they knew each other.
Yeah.
But by the end, because they had to work as a team, they had to talk, they had to kind of discuss things, communicate. But by the end of the day, they were laughing, joking, and you could clearly see a level of bond, which wasn't there at the beginning of the day, which I thought was quite good.
Well, that's one of the things that, I'll tell you, it surprised us, because that's one of the things we didn't factor in when it comes to these workshops. We didn't know how much of a social bringing together this was going to be. We speak about community, we talk about people coming together, but we didn't realise how much it was going to open up people to each other. And, what we do after we cook, we sit down, and then we talk. So it's like a family environment. So, and then some of the women have kids, so they're in Project 229, and the group meets from 10 to 12, so sometimes we run over. So some of the kids come over, they eat, they sit down, and then the other mums are looking after the other kids as well. So it's a social thing, and that's one of the biggest things we found out this come from that. It's a social aspect.
Sounds really good.
Love it.
I know you have briefly mentioned what inspired you to start your organisation. But why did you start? I mean, if you can go into a bit more detail, what inspired you, seeing these particular individuals? Did you feel that they were missing something, or do you think possibly a key core element of their life wasn't there or in place?
Well, I would say is that key core element of sort of like, learning skills. We're not all taught as we grow up certain things, and that goes on in our life. Some of these guys were in a position where they were homeless, they couldn't fend for themselves, there were certain addictions, but with that they were perpetuating certain things by not eating properly, by not eating the right foods, by not buying the right foods, by not budgeting. So they're always going to be in a certain situation. So I saw that not just in the service users in the hostels and so forth. Over the years, I've seen that. I've seen babies pushing babies. I've seen young mums pushing on the phone. The kid's got crisp in his hand. There's no interaction between the child and the mother. I've visited service users in different hostels, and so I've done my homework. I've seen, not just seen it by doing my homework, see it in everyday life. So this has inspired me, and this Bedford I love Bedford. So I want to put something back into Bedford. So, when I first did this, I started putting my own money into this, started putting my own money into investigating, started putting my own money into sort of like, trying to set up a workshop. My time is valuable because I have another business, which is a health and safety business, but my time was taken out of that in order to try and do this. And that's how much of a passion it is for me, in order to put things in place. There's a lot of places that point people to websites, give people leaflets and so forth. We are actually doing it. So people are tasting, they're smelling, they're tasting, they're tasting, they're talking. So I would say people are using all their senses when they come to our workshop. Yeah, it's not just about going on the internet and typing www. It's about sort of like going in there and joining in and getting involved.
I mean, one thing I did notice, and I think I've mentioned, was the social aspect. I thought it was kind of key noticing that, because the particular group I went to were mums.
Yes, that's right.
And even though food is relevant for everyone, because women generally are the main area when it comes to cooking.
That's right.
And the kitchen and things like that. I thought it was kind of, it's kind of the centre of the family, really, isn't it?
Well,
A meal,
well, it should be, I think, to be honest with you, because it used to have them old values where you sit down and you talk about your day, wouldn't you?
Yes, because that might be the only time you actually talk with your family is around food.
Yeah, exactly, because don't forget, you've got 15 tellies in your house and everybody's got, a tablet, or whatever.
Your phone.
Yeah, and then while people are on their phone, they're eating as well. So, there's a juggling act that we've learned to do now. But the juggling act we forgot is about talking to each person and finding out what's happening. Some people don't even know their kids or their parents or what they're about because, you don't have that opportunity to talk. But if you can get your child, I did a session at Project 229. My sister was a chef, and it was sort of like in Kempston about Caribbean foods, ethnic foods, that sort of thing. And we had a little boy, and he was there with his mum, and he made some saltfish fritters. Yeah, and he was so pleased with his saltfish fritters. It was unbelievable. He cut it. He made this sort of like the ingredients to get it all together. You could see his development through those 2 hours. He loved it, and at the end, he stood there with his saltfish fritters, and it was like he invented something new. So it was absolutely fantastic. The social aspect of that is I can say you can't measure it. You got to see it. You got to see it for yourself in order to measure it. To be honest with you, so the social aspect for me, as I said, was a surprise how big it came out of the actual workshops itself.
I mean, can you go into a bit more detail about some of the... I mean, you've just mentioned Caribbean cooking. Can you go into a bit more detail about the different projects you've done so far?
In 2013, grants were raised for me from two charities. One was Aisha Academy, one was from Amicus Trust. I did 16 to 25-year-olds, and this is me formulating it with my chef, Ian, and Anna Pugh at the time, who was my colleague working, and she's a nutritionist. So we did 16 to 25-year-olds, hard group, and these were service users in hostels, very, very hard group. If you're over 30, you don't know nothing as far as these people are concerned. So it's very hard to get through to this group. And one of the things we found out that they don't need paperwork. They need demonstrating. These are people that are seers and doers. So we decided after the first workshop, we're not going to give them a bunch of paperwork. We're going to get straight stuck in. And the way these kids listened is by doing. So as we were talking, they were listening as well. Yeah. If we sat down in front of a projector on a laptop, we'd lose them after about 10 minutes. So we developed it and found out how these kids learn, because everybody has different learning, as you know. So we decided to do by learning. So we did that. 2 16 to 25-year-olds. That worked out well. Some of them, took it on board. Some of them didn't. But a lot of these kids were going out. There's Tesco's Express round the corner. And some of them live down Tavistock Street. That is sort of like there's a lot of takeaways around there. One thing I would like to say, we do not preach to you. We give you options. We tell you, you could have your kebab, you could have your piri, you could have that, but this is what you could have as well. You could have your, Caesar salad, you could have your pita bread pizza, you can make your lentil bean soup, just by simple ingredients, really. So we're not saying, because, every so often, I love fish and chips. Yeah, I'm trying to keep myself healthy, but every so often, I'm down to chippy, I'm having fish and chips. But it's all about moderation, to be honest with you.
So as part of the what you do, the workshops, you do incorporate a lot of nutritional aspects and education and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier that you were quite surprised and shocked by what people ate. Did it really, really shock you?
Yeah.
How shocking are some people?
How fast you can go around the corner and get... Because you know why? Because there's a place around the corner, it's £1 for chicken and chips. Yeah, all right? So if you don't want to cook, then £1 for chicken and chips is easy. You got drinks for 45p cans and all that. So you got a lot of these energy drinks. Because we try and do things like how much sugar is in sort of like Red Bull or in cereal. That is. They were amazed by how much sugar's in a cereal, and this is meant to be a bran flake kind of cereal. You got flavoured water. That some of it had more sugar than Coke. So those are the sort of things. And these women, and I was shocked. Because what we tend to look at is fat, don't we? We tend to look at the fat content in things. Yeah, so we decided to get these things and we just demonstrated how much sugar in containers that are in that. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Some of the things I was shocked. I
mean, you've mentioned the different group areas that you cover. I mean, why are you targeting your workshops at these particular groups?
Well, for one, the elderly, I would say. There is a lot of elderly men who are out there and they cannot cook. Their wives done all the cooking for a lot of years. They cannot shop. So, it's about, and men are more likely to go inward on themselves because they're too proud to say that they can't cope. Yeah, women, they've been doing it for years. They always have a social group. They always have friends around. Men probably have friends that go to the pub and all that sort of stuff. As you get older, that's not happening so much. So men seem to go introverted. And then, so that's why I'm looking at the elderly. So, about people who want to cook, who want to learn to fend for themselves because they're by themselves now. Their family lives far away. And there's people that are proud that don't want to talk to people to say that they're struggling. So even go to Meals on Wheels. So, you'll find that these people are getting thinner and thinner. They're getting more isolated. They're losing their friends. So it's about bringing people out, into a social environment like you saw with the ladies and make them meet new people. You can meet new people, new networks and so forth. Young mums, they're young. They don't even know how to look after themselves. More or less another baby that's coming along or a baby that's there. And as I said, I've seen aspects of that. People in isolation. You talk about the social thing. We deal with people that's new to the area. English is a second language. Food is food when it comes to sort of like, languages. Like football. Doesn't matter what language you speak. If you can kick a ball, and the ball is round, then you're cool. Really. So food is food and it's about sharing. Yeah, about, in my country, I cook this, I cook that, and so forth. And you can do a fusion of flavours, fusion of colours.
That sounds good. So, Randolph, what does the workshop entail?
A typical workshop we found, we've got a formula that works, but our workshops are adaptable. But a typical workshop is, first one is like sauces from scratch. So we look at, instead of going and buy, your sauce in a bottle from a shop, sauce I won't name, you can make it yourself. And that was one of our biggest surprises for the ladies about how quickly they can take ingredients and just put it all together. And they've got sort of like a white sauce that can go with fish, that can go with chicken, turkey, a curry sauce, that could, be made quite so easily in about 10, 15 minutes by chopping up the ingredients, putting some fluid, some stock in there, and away you go. All of our ingredients has been looked at by sort of like consultant we use, which is Anna Pugh. So she's been sort of like 20 odd years in the field. So she looked at all our recipes to look at the sugar content, the salt content, the fat content, and slimmed it down. So, what we don't want anybody to do is come back and say, what are you selling here? You preach this, but you're selling something different. So we've had all our recipes looked at. So the second one we do sort of like lunches and snacks. So, quick, easy things. That's nutritional as well. We do things like power balls, with nuts and sort of like sultanas and, things that will give you energy. Instead of buying a Red Bull, this gives you slow release energy. The third session is all about love food, hate waste. So it's all about sort of like, you know, taking your leftovers and then using that. And it's all about looking in your fridge, looking in your freezer, what have you got left over, and then working your magic on that. And all the time we have a chef there, and we have Larissa, who's our lifestyle coach and, you know, nutritionist as well. And she just talks to the ladies. Ian, our chef, then walks around and says, yeah, if you do this, they're asking questions about hints and tips. You know, he's even showing people how to cut onions. People don't know how to cut an onion properly.
Really?
Really.
Really?
That is true.
So really, if they can't cut an onion, then you really sometimes have to go really back to basics.
You do.
I mean, I'm talking about a boiled egg and a bit of toast.
Yeah,
back to basics.
yeah, definitely.
And some of these people have families, and
but some of them live on their own as well. So you know, if you haven't got a family, sometimes you ain't got somebody to do for you, have you? Yeah. If you've got family, sometimes it's better to have someone there, you know, because you've got another side of that. But if you're on your own, then you've got nobody to do that. So basically, you're just going to get packet stuff, or you're going to go to the takeaways and get something to eat.
Wow.
You know, so
I mean, that is quite shocking, though.
Well, it is.
Because now you've said the onion, I understand now how basic sometimes you have to be.
Well, yeah,
it's not. I'm just kind of presuming that they could boil an egg, but some people you're going way back to basics.
I'm not saying, you know, it's only a few people, and then, you know, it comes out, you know, because like, don't forget, everybody's working together, so somebody's chopping that. So you say to that person, can you chop that? And they say, I don't know how to chop an onion. So Ian comes in and he tells them how to chop an onion. He shows them how to chop leeks and how to peel things, you know, to make it more effective, that you get more of the leek or you get more of the cabbage and so forth. And then the last session we do is a ready, steady cook session. So that is 3 trays with £4 worth of ingredients on there. So Ian and Larissa set that up. They put it together so it's nutritional. There's colour there. There's actually, you know, things you can see there that help you along. And then he goes to the ladies, pick a number. So each tray has a number. So they go into the pot, pick a number, and then each group has to then make an ingredient after that. And that's when you saw them bartering about who's going to have the onion, who's going to have the garlic, who's going to have the tomato. And then they come up with ingredients. And what they do, they have a sheet and they write down what the ingredients are, and they make their own recipe up.
I must admit, it was very nice. I mean, you fed about 20 people with how much money was spent?
£12.
That's good,
yes,
isn't it?
Really, really good.
And the things, I had 3 meals.
Yes,
so I had, I think it was curry, pasta and tuna.
Pasta and tuna, that one. Because we had a competition about which 3, and that one by just a slight amount. I can't remember the other meals. There was the curry and the beans. I think there was a bean soup to go with that. Curry, bean soup, and the pasta and tuna.
Yeah, about fed 20 people.
Yeah.
And
it had leftovers.
And leftovers, yeah. And so I suppose that's also quite a shock for some people as well. Because I do know somebody once told me that going to takeaway was cheaper than cooking for a family.
Right.
And I thought, even though you can occasionally find a meal which is cheaper than say, you know, as you mentioned, the £1 chicken and chips.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable 7 days a week.
No, it isn't.
You know, so actually, overall, if you got a bit of pasta, a bit of meat, you could feed way more people.
You can cook up a batch.
Yeah, you can cook way more people with that than keep going buying pizzas and things like that.
You know, it's a false economy. You know, doing that all the time. You know, it's about sort of like having that awareness, and that's what people are scared of. That's what I found. You know, they're scared of trying and failing. And then it's only until you get into a group scenario, and then you talk to people and you say, you know, there's no such thing as failing. The only time you're going to fail is when you give people food poisoning. That's the only time you're
Don't talk about that.
But other than that,
that's never happened to you.
No, not at all. Yeah, and it never will. But yeah, that's it. You know, people put stuff together. They don't realise. Right, let me just tell you one thing. The main thing I'm dealing with at the moment, right now, is working with the food banks. We are now putting together recipes for Bedford food banks to the food they give people. Is what can they do with those ingredients? So we have set ingredients in line, recipes in line with the food people are given. So people can see what they can do with the food. Some people get the ingredients sometimes and just chuck it in the pot, and that's it. And it's bland, it's dead. There's no flavour to it. So more often than not, they don't want to use it. They don't want to eat it. It becomes a chore then. But if they can see the colour and get the flavours out of it by infusing it with other ingredients, that's what we're trying to do with the recipes we're doing for those.
Because that's quite challenging for Food Bank, because they deal with things in cans and things like that. So that's quite a challenge, isn't it?
It is. But
I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you're not kind of confident cook anyway,
Yes.
and you're cooking with only food from cans,
That's
then
right.
I can imagine
And
sometimes
packs.
and packs.
Yeah.
You need a certain degree of imagination, don't you, to
Well, you
bring
do.
the life out of it.
That's right, and this is where we come in with the recipes. So, you know, the chef, Ian, brilliant, works in London, lives in Stevenage, yeah, but he comes to Bedford and gives his time for a pittance. Yeah, he's a magician in the kitchen.
I taste his foods.
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
You know, so, and he's the one that's put together these recipes for me, and he's done this for nothing for the food bank. So, you know, they're fully appreciative of that.
So, Randolph, currently at this moment in time, how do you fund yourself?
Well, a lot of it at the beginning was private funding. You know, I put some things together. You know, my time is a big factor for me. You know, putting in the I would call that part of funding, because as I said, I have another business and time is taken out of that. So, you know, my time is money, but yeah, I'm willing to put that in. The other thing we've been done, as I said earlier, we've been funded by Aisha Academy and Amicus Trust, who raised funding through different bodies to get us to do this. And the last 2 workshops we've done, groups meeting at Project 229, the net group from Grace Community Church. We were given money by Kempston East Methodist Church. You know, I remember going to them in the first place. I had to do a kind of like a Dragon's Den sort of pitch, really, in order to get the money in the first place. They loved the idea. I'm glad they did. Thank you very much, Kempston East. And they gave me money to do 2 food workshops. And the last one you came to, that was the last session, the Ready Steady Cook session. So at this time and point, that's what we're doing. And we've now set up, we're now a KIC, a community interest company, and now we're going to be looking for funding, award funding as well. And then at this time and point, we've got an application in being filled in by myself and Larissa, my business partner, for the big local in the Kingsbrook and Caldwell area.
That'd be quite good.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's a need there. You know, there's a pot of money sitting there. I need money. To be honest with you, I can't do it without the money, so we're going to apply for that and see how it goes. I already canvassed the people at Faraday Square and Scott Hall, and you know, they're up for it. To be honest with you, I'm up for it. So, you know, all we need is the money now. And as well as that, I've been meeting with the council, Barbara Wamford, council health liaison officer, and about working together with them in order to try and sort of like, you know, because they have their charter. So, you know, we're looking to help them fill some of that charter as well.
I mean, you talk about the organisation, Greenlight Community.
Food workshops.
With a lot of passion. So I can tell you you're definitely committed, and this is not just a business for you, it's definitely a passion-driven...
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. But the different people involved, if you can kind of mention their names again, and also talk a bit about their history as well.
Well, Larissa Clark, she's a lifestyle and fitness coach, and I met Larissa about a year and a half ago when I was at Project 229, and I was with my colleague before that was Anna Pugh, and but she had her own business, and then she got a job working with Cambridge NHS, so she was doing other things with them. So I met Larissa at Project 229, and then somebody said, you know, it'd be good for me to speak to her and link up. And then, you know, as I was speaking about my ideas, you know, she loved it. She was smiling and laughing, because that's the sort of thing she wants to do. Because Larissa works with, you know, young girls, women, you know, about building confidence, and she has her own business as well. She does boot camps for ladies, you know, couch to 5K. She does riding. So Larissa's sort of like got about 3,000 arms. You know, she's trying to deal with sort of like a lot of things as well, but she decided to take time out of her business, like I have, to try and push this forward, because she sees the need. You know, Larissa's Bedford based, so, you know, that's easy to get in contact with. So Larissa, as I said, she came on board, and now we're now business partners. We're now a limited company, and we're now a community interest company to go with that as well. So we're taking things serious, because we have to do some of this in order to get funding and granting as well. So we decided to go the whole way. There's Ian, my chef. You know, he's a magician in the kitchen. You know, he's so sort of like modest, it's unbelievable, but that man is an absolute genius in the kitchen. As I said, he works in a private men's club in Soho in London. He's met people like Kiefer Sutherland, Ed Sheeran. You know, Ed Sheeran had his after, you know, premiere party there. So, you know, he doesn't love talking about it. He talks about it, and then the women love it when he talks about it. Oh, you met Ed Sheeran, you met that, blah blah blah. You know, so they absolutely love it. So he brings them in, and when he's in the kitchen, Yeah, it's like, I don't know, he's got wings. He flies. So this man is an absolute genius. He lives in Stevenage, works in London. He comes here, does the food workshop, goes back to Stevenage, and then he goes to work in London. And he doesn't get home more often than not about 12 o'clock at night, but he's willing to give his time for a pittance.
That sounds really good, because it sounds like every single person involved in the organisation has a lot of experience, prior experience,
yes,
that they can bring to the table with regards to the organisation, which sounds, really good.
It's not just experience; it's a passion.
I can definitely tell there's a passion, but also the fact that there are people, the individuals have physical experience, yes, with regards to the bit that they deal with,
yeah,
which actually helps strengthen
the concept,
because it's not just you can have a passion but not actually have the experience and knowledge to push the passion.
That's right.
From the drawing board paper to reality. It sounds to me as a set of people, you have the knowledge, and the passion, and the drive.
Yeah, the get up and go, because people have said, we all got our own businesses. We're all, Ian, comes from, London and, lives in Stevenage. So we're all giving our time, really, not freely, because something has to, pay for something, but we're giving it at a pittance, I would say, because this is our passion and we love it.
Sounds good. So, Randolph, what money do you need and who do you need it from now?
Well, we've done a few of these workshops, and we've looked at how much we spend, because it's all about being frugal as well, because that's what we deliver, the message about delivering. So our ingredients are sometimes very, very low, because we try and shop and we try and show the people what we try and do. So, but again, as I said, time is given by other people, taken out of their businesses and so forth. And then there's things like hiring a premises, buying, photocopying. So, there is money needed in whatever we do. We'd love to do this free. Yeah, we'd love to go to a tree and pick money off, but, that's in fairy tale land. The sort of place, we're looking for is sort of like private funding, corporate funding. We are now going to start approaching, councillors for ward funding. As I said, we're looking at the big local in the Kingsbrook and Caldwell area. In time when we've established ourselves, we're going to be approaching the Harper Trust, the Panacea Trust as well. So, there's a number of bodies. I've researched and I've looked and, kept them on file about the number of applications that we're going to be going through in the next year. So at this time and point, it'd be great if some local Bedford businesses, could see it in their heart, to give a little bit of money. We're not asking for a lot, but what you'll get out of this, your name will be put on whatever workshop we're going to use the money for. What I'm saying is that it's a local Bedford thing. So we're going to be looking more for local Bedford people to, dip their hands in their pocket. A tenner, will get us some photocopying done. 20 quid will get us ingredients. Some of the food, some of the actual supermarkets as well, they can help us out as well by, giving us some ingredients, giving us some tin food that's going to last so we can use in future workshops. Some of the farming markets as well. There's a number of bodies that can help us out. We deal in food. We deal in sort of paperwork, because we've got to, give people, handouts as well. So photocopying needs to get done as well. So, those are the things we're asking for. We're looking at councillors to help us out. We're looking at private, companies. We've been looking at the big corporate companies based around the Bedford who should have a big heart. You should have a big community heart, and that's what we're looking for.
So, Randolph, at this moment in time, what does your organisation need to grow?
To be honest, our organisation needs other organisations to work with us in order to sort of like deliver these workshops. So, if there's any way that you can help us deliver these workshops and give back to the community, they'll be grateful. So is there any way that we can work together with any company to deliver these workshops? It would be grateful. We'll be happy with that.
Who are you working with at the moment, and who is interested in working with you?
Right. At this time and point, we're working with Project 229 in Kempston. We've got a very, very close alliance with them at the moment, which has been working out well. Bex, who's the manager there, very, very good. I have a good working relationship with her, and she's pulled me and she's brought me on board. Really spent a lot of time with me because she's experienced in that field and I was new. So Project 229, I would say, is a definite sort of like good working alliance for me. Bedford Food Bank, as I said earlier, we're creating recipes for them. And, we're looking at going to be working with them further to deliver some workshops to some housing residents that access some of the food bank, some of the food from some of the food there. Local council, as I said, I've been meeting with Barbara Wanford. So, we're trying to find a way how we can link with, so for instance, the London Road Health Clinic. So how we can work there with the health officer there. As I said, Project 229, Kempston East Methodist Church, brilliant. Can't thank them enough for the two money they gave us for the 2 workshops that we're going to be doing, that we have done there with the money they've given us. So I'd fully like to thank Kempston East Methodist Church for doing that in a moment. I've been contacted by a couple of housing associations, by a few schools. That I don't want to say them yet because nothing's been confirmed. So they would like this as well, and a number of other charities that would like to work with us. But as I said, we would like to have other companies work with us so we can actually deliver these workshops to these needed causes.
So Randolph, if somebody, either an organisation or an individual, is interested in finding a bit more about what you do, or possibly discussing a partnership or working together, how would they do that?
Well, there's a number of ways, as you know. There's lots of mediums you can get in contact with people, but I will give you my mediums. My phone number is 07779 115534. Email address to get in contact is info@greenlightcfw.co.uk, or lowercase, or Twitter @greenlightcfw, or my Facebook page. So those are the mediums you can get in contact with me if you would like to help out.
Thanks very much, Rand. By the way, Rand, I didn't ask you, where did the name originate from?
Well, my health and safety business is called Greenlight. Gives you the go-ahead. That's my strap line, because of the green light. So I decided to a continuation of that, really. So Greenlight gives you the actual sort of like skills and the knowledge to, crack on ahead. Really.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it just linked.
Well, Randolph, thanks for coming in. It's been very interesting hearing about. It's just interesting, really, because food and cooking is kind of a basic thing.
Yes, yeah.
But when it's missing, it can make a major difference to someone's life.
A massive difference,
So what you do for certain parts of the community, giving that additional support, guidance and education, can actually make a big difference to them and also any children or whatever which are involved in their lives. So that's really good.
Well, it leaves a legacy, to be honest with you. I don't want people to come to these workshops and it stops there. You don't want about giving a man a fishing rod and he can fish for the rest of his life. That's what we're doing. We're giving people the actual skills to go ahead and to use it for themselves and for their families, and for their families to pass it on. So what I want to do is share the love, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to share the love.
That sounds great. Thanks for coming in, Randolph.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay then.
Pleasure.